who would you have dinner with?
Paul McCartney would be definitely one. For those who don't know, the Beatles. If there's a younger audience.
Oh my God, do we have to say for those who don't know?
I don't know.
Oh, that's scary.
For pieces and shares, a bomb break sky high, check the movement is here, yeah. It's one heart, one shot, now the future is yours, go.
Hi, and welcome back to the Compass Studio. Today, I have a very special guest. Today, I have someone I really enjoy talking to. I think this is going to be a great interview. Bill DeRidder. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
So let's start easy. Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in the San Gabriel Valley, a little town called West Covina, and lived there until I went away to college.
Where'd you go to college?
Went to school at San Francisco State University.
How'd you end up here in San Diego?
Well, so I started.
Sounds like a long story.
Yeah, it is a long story. So we went to school in San Francisco, and I was actually got my degree in public administration with the thoughts of going into city management.
I can see that.
So I graduated from school. My parents spent all this money, got a graduation, got my degree, and went to work as assistant to the city manager at Half Moon Bay, just a small town south of San Francisco. And I went to work there, and I was there for a couple of weeks, and the city manager said, "Bill, we want you to do a study on the this highway. Highway 1 goes straight through the middle of the town, and there were two kids that were killed on bicycles, different incidents, different times of the year." And they said, "Bill, what we need to do is we need to do about a 9-month study to see if we should put up a stoplight here where these kids are getting killed." And I thought to myself, we need two kids have been killed. They want to do a 9-month study to see if they should put a stoplight in. And I remember, I'm never going to make it in the city government. So I went home that night, and I called my mom, and I said, "Mom, I'm so sorry. You and Dad spent all this money for me to get my degree. And, and I thought I was going to be city manager one day." And she said, I said, I hate it. I'm not going to survive. And she said, "Honey, don't you worry about it. You come on home. I'm going to get you a job in the title business." I said,
Is that what she was in?
she was a real estate agent.
Oh, okay.
So, but she said, "I think I can probably get you a job at the title company, maybe a title rep." I said, "What's a title rep?" She said, "Don't you worry about it. You just come on home." So that's what we did. I went back to the LA area, West Covina, and I went to work for a title company, and did that for about 5-6 years, and had a lot of great experiences, a lot of great education. And one of the guys that I worked with was moving down to San Diego to open up a real estate office. So young and dumb, I thought, well, what could be wrong with that? So I, single, and I thought, well, I'll follow you down there. We'll open an office together. So that's how I ended up down
And that's
there.
how you got it. And that's when you went into real estate.
And that's when I went into real estate. Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to have you scoot in a little bit. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll keep going.
So
And have you been doing real estate ever since?
I have. Yeah.
Wow.
I got my license in 1978. Got my broker's license in 1986.
I think it's so unique, but so true because you're a smart man. I mean, I'll say it because you can't, right? But you are a very smart man. And when you went into city management and went, "I'm not going to survive this."
It didn't take very long.
No.
I just know my personality. It was such a need for obviously the
Right.
two kids getting killed.
We know it now.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway,
That just speaks to a lot of politics.
doesn't it? It
Yeah.
really does.
So you've been in real estate a long time now. You've had a lot of success. What is your favorite thing about being a real estate agent?
There's a few things, but the primary thing is helping my clients really make that good decision on probably their biggest investment in their whole life.
Right.
I
It
mean,
is.
For most people, it is. Some people have, you know, lots of money and other investments, but for the vast majority, you know, it's their biggest investment. And I love that feeling of handing over those keys or, you know, getting them through the process of closing their escrow and moving them on to their next adventure.
I'm going to go backwards for a second. I think this is interesting. What made you initially want to go into like city management? What did you think that would be about?
Well, I like the idea of, you know, being a manager and controlling, not necessarily controlling, but working with the communities. I'm very community oriented. I just thought I could do a lot of good things, you know, new parks, new developments, things that involve cities.
Right.
So I just thought that would be a pretty cool place to be.
To me, these tie together. You wanted to positively impact your community,
Right.
and be the one who kind of makes it all come together and work.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to
absolutely.
happen at that level. You go into real estate, it's exactly what you're doing.
You know, I never thought in those terms, but you're exactly right, Sean.
You're positively impacting
Yeah.
everybody that works with you
Yeah.
and helping them bring it about.
I love it.
You're kind of living out your dream anyway,
In a different way. Yeah.
in a different way. Okay, so in the opposite direction, tell me something about being a real estate agent that you're not a fan of, you don't like.
I guess, and as I say, I've been in the business for quite a while, and there's a lot of newer agents, especially it seems like, that are well intended maybe, but they don't have the experience or the education maybe to correctly fill out these big forms. When I first got in the business, it was one page.
I remember.
Do you remember that? And most of it was one, you know, just blank lines. And at the very bottom, it said caveat emptor,
Right.
buyer beware. And that was it. There were no disclosures. But things evolved, lawsuits.
Every
and so on.
lawsuit.
So now we're at what, 16 pages on
And growing again.
Yeah, I know we got a new contract coming out in December. So, and you need to be able to fill out a form properly. These buyers and sellers, we're dealing with now millions of dollars. You know, when I got into it, it was $25,000 was your average sales price. But now, you know, we're damn near $1 million in San Diego County.
Right, on their home.
On the home, and so you get half filled out contracts, and that drives me crazy.
Yeah. It makes more work for you, and
Right.
it makes you worried about, are the other people being taken care of now?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Worry about my clients.
It's an unfortunate thing in our business that, and I've never been a fan of we need more rules or we need higher.
So we'll start with you, Sean, on your question. I'll tell you when.
Never been a fan, whatever the last thing I said was,
Yeah.
or go back earlier.
Start with never been a fan.
Okay. So I've never been a fan of making more rules or you know, raising the barrier to entry. A lot of this falls on our clients themselves, you know, doing the research to make sure you're getting a professional, qualified agent. And it seems to me some people just, you know, they spend more time researching their phone plan than they do what agent's going to represent them. I don't know how to fix that, but that's where it really belongs, the responsibility, right?
Right, absolutely.
The advantage of being someone like you who've done this, and you do, I mean, you're not going to brag. He does a lot of business. This is people who've known you. They've seen what you do. They are the ones telling their friends, their family, this is who you use. And you get to slowly blossom out and more people find out, but
Right,
there's still a lot that don't know.
right. And really, at this point in my career, probably at least 80% of my business is referral business. Which
Right.
I hope says something about the work I've done over my career.
That's the achievement, right?
Right.
If you're always looking for new people, you're probably kind of doing something wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Any crazy stories in these years? A showing, an open house, something that
I guess
that you can share? We're family rated.
I'll keep that in mind.
Right.
You know, there's a couple of things. One just recently, this year, won't name names, but I got a call from a good friend and prior client, and he called me and he said, "Hey, Bill, I don't know if you heard, but you know, my dad passed away this year." And he said, not a problem. 88 years old, had a great life, and he left the family 21 homes, and he wanted to know if I'd be interested in listing these. And of course, I didn't say yes. I said, hell yes.
Let me think about it. For a while.
So that didn't take very long. So long story longer is I said, absolutely, we got signed up. And he said, well, I got to tell you a little story. He said, Bill, I went over to my dad's house, which is in Spring Valley. You know, it's not the most affluent area in San Diego, but his dad, again, had these 21 properties. And he went in there and they started to kind of sorting through things, you know, what are we going to keep, what are we going to get rid of, and so on and so forth. And they went into one of the closets and they found a big, huge box of money. Not only a little money, there was over $2 million in cash.
In cash?
In cash in this cardboard box, in this home in Spring Valley. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, what if this house had
Were there
burned?
tenants in it and they didn't know?
No,
Or
it was the home that the dad was actually living
the
in.
one he lived in.
And
He
would
just squirreled away cash.
he
down there.
he would tell his tenants when I'm not going to come collect the rent, you just drive by. He had a U-shaped driveway. He said, you just put your cash, it's got to be cash, put it in an envelope and put your name on the outside. And then you just throw the envelope up on the front porch and then I'll come out and get it. I'll know it's from you and I'll, take it from there. And then he just went in and threw the envelope in the box.
For 21 homes, he found people who paid cash, just wrote their name on an envelope. They were fine with it. He was fine with it.
Throw it up on the porch. So,
That's kind of a throwback in time, I
yeah.
think. I mean, we don't see that now.
No. In fact, on that same house, I was going through there, and there was not, and then with all this money this guy had, it looked like he didn't have two nickels to rub together. Literally, it was places not in good condition at all. And I was looking out the kitchen window, and there was a torn $50 bill in the cobwebs in the corner.
Helping keep the bugs out. Screen.
No.
So, did that change once you sold the 21 homes? Did the family need to now buy a nice big mansion in Del Mar or something?
Well, they're looking. So
Yeah.
It's turning into more and more.
You always hear that there's stories like that out there. I've never actually met someone who this actually happened. Here's my client with a cardboard box.
I know, where's some wood? I need to knock
Wow.
on some wood.
Okay, well now I know someone it actually happened to. What is it that how do I want to word this? Your friends, if I were asking your friends, what do you think Bill does all day? What does he really, because they know you and they're going to be honest.
Yeah,
What do you think he actually does all day? What would they tell me?
Well, a lot of them, half jokingly, half not, would say, well, DeRidder, I think all he probably does is, drive around in his car and go look at a few houses and head back to the mailbox and wait for that big bank to come in. So most of them don't realize what really goes into
What you got to do?
what the real job is.
They think you drive around a lot.
Yeah, drive a lot, just wait for that big check, head to the bank.
So, there is a job where you drive around a lot, but there's no big checks coming in when you do it.
No.
So at some point you joined Compass. You were one of the original agents that came to Compass
Yeah.
when Compass came to San
Right.
Diego. What made you jump in, especially when they were new here?
Well, we did a little bit of research, and we were approached, and we took some time. Mm-hmm. We were happy at the brokerage we were at.
Who's we, by the way? We haven't even.
We've got a small team.
Right.
It's primarily my son Willem, and then we've got a couple of other agents.
And you have a couple agents with you guys.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's our small team.
And it's a very, like you guys all discuss everything. It's a very,
very very family oriented.
right.
And
Okay.
we work well together. Have each other's backs. If I need something, he needs something. We're there for
You're
each
there
other.
for. I get to see it, but the people they have no idea, because not all teams run that way.
Right.
Right. But you guys, it's
Yeah.
very family. That's the best word. You're right.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay, so you're looking around. You're
we're looking
thinking about it.
around, Compass approached us, said, come to check us out, and we did. And then we did some research, and there were a couple of things. We liked of course, the state of art technology was, even though I'm not the most techno guy, but in this environment and moving forward in the future, you've got to stay up with the technology.
Right. Right.
I love the marketing. We love the people, and it just seemed like a good fit for us.
So you came over. You've been here 3 years now, I think.
Yeah, 3 years. I guess it'll be 3 years this month.
Coming,
Yeah.
coming up the anniversary. I want to know, has it lived up to what you expected, or have you been surprised that here's what I thought I'd like, but it turns out this is, what's changed for the good or bad? I mean, we're being authentic.
Right, yeah. It's really mostly been all good. I mean, I've worked from larger brokerages. I've had my own brokerages over the years. And the thing that I've noticed almost on every transaction, or buy or sell, is when you call it an outside agent, or email them, or contact them, and say, this is Bill DeRidder with Compass, it seems like we get a little more respect. People know that the agents that Compass hires and we have on board are maybe just maybe a notch above some of the other brokerages.
Right.
I mean,
they don't hire new, they don't hire part-time.
that was just what I was going to say. I mean, everyone in this organization is experienced. They're not looking to, just educate the agent that's just gotten a license.
Right.
Which I like and appreciate.
Right, different models, but the Compass model seems to generate that. They know if they're talking to you, you're someone who does a lot of business, you know what you're doing.
Absolutely. So I do get a little more respect, I think, from outside agents.
And that part you didn't know was going to happen.
No, I had no idea.
That's great.
Yeah.
So coming up in the business, even going back to when you first started, was there an agent, or is there even an agent now who you watch, or you say, I really look up to them, or I like how they do their business?
There were certainly certain agents in when I was a rookie, when I was a little green, that I would emulate, and really going back to the title business, when I was calling on realtors, I was calling on probably 100, 150 offices.
Wow.
So I got a lot of education from just being around and just the osmosis of seeing how different agents did their business, and
it is different, isn't it?
Oh, every office is completely different. So that was a good education. It was very interesting. But and so there was again a couple of agents. I don't know name names on that, but I really, my mom was, as I mentioned, was a real estate agent, and sometimes when I think about, I come into a kind of a tough transaction or something, and I oftentimes think, well, I wonder how my mom would have handled this thing. She was a real people person, and she knew how to, get people to agree in tough situations
And have everybody come out ahead and
a
benefiting.
win-win for everybody. So that's really my mentor.
Isn't it great having that image? It's a real person. You can say, how would they have done it?
Right.
And you can put yourself in there.
Right.
I love that.
She's 94, and she worked until she was 90 in the business.
Really?
Yeah.
I would say that's because it's not work.
Absolutely.
Nobody works till 90,
And
right? She loved it.
She loved it. Absolutely loved it. She didn't really want to quit, but her mental facilities were getting a little more, so she knew it was time to step aside.
Right, because it's a big responsibility. Yeah.
Huge.
If you were going to give a newer agent some advice, or maybe, what I wish I had figured out a lot earlier kind of thing, what would you share to help them be more successful?
I think one of the things I would say to them, and maybe a mistake I made, because again, I was in the title business. I also did lending for a number of years. I did new construction, so I was moving from track to track to track.
Right, the different sales altogether.
Completely different sales. They come in, they like your product, they don't, they're out the door.
Right.
You're not building the rapport and taking them. And then of course, I've done, the resale. And I would probably say, I wish I had stuck with just the resale. Well, maybe the title business because of the education, but doing the lending and the new track, new home construction, a couple other things. I did some development over the years, but staying on track with one area of the business. I think
that time on task over time.
Absolutely. I think of all those hundreds and probably thousands of new homes that I'd sold, and I never kept one contact. Because they always say, your sphere of influence is
everything.
Is gold.
It is now for you. That is your whole business.
Right, but I mean, I never all those buyers that I never said.
Never
I
stayed.
should probably keep that name and number just in case. Live and learn.
So there's another piece of advice.
Yep.
Everyone you meet is someone you might be able to help in the future.
Absolutely.
So what's a public perception of real estate or real estate agents, or what do you that you think people have that you know is not true?
I'd say probably the number one item is we're lazy. You know, I just think that a lot of people that just think we just sit around, show a few homes, and again, like we talked about a little bit earlier, then just wait for
Wait
that
for the
escrow to close. Let's okay, tomorrow's payday. So I think that's the biggest. If someone would walk a mile in our shoes,
The amount of work.
the amount of work that, you know, if I figured it out on an hourly basis, it's probably around 75 cents an hour. I'm joking, but it's not we get paid very well, but it's a
lot of work.
A lot of work and a lot of responsibility.
That's the other thing it seems like is part of what you're giving your clients is the ability to sleep at night because
Right.
you're taking on the sleepless nights.
I
You
take
take on this
I
stuff.
do. I take every transaction, every client, every property,
Mm-hmm.
I take personally, like it's my own. It's critical to me that I take that and I own whatever it is we're doing.
Once again, probably at least partially explaining why you've been so successful in this business.
It's part of why I have gray hair too.
Why you have gray hair too. I want to do a marketing piece one time that just said, you should choose who you're working with by the number of gray hairs in their head. That's how you know.
Then I would be
Right.
really
You're
successful.
number one in the whole county.
Thanks, John.
I don't know. You're not that far from it right now. Okay, fun question. There's a billboard on the side of the freeway, and it's yours, and it could say anything you want. What's it say?
That's a tough one. You know, I don't know. Can we come back to that question?
We can come back, sure.
I have to think about that one.
Let me give you a simple one then. You could have dinner with 3 people, any 3 people, living or dead, history of the world. Who would you have dinner with?
That's an easier. I appreciate the sitting it up on a tee for me. Paul McCartney would be definitely one. For those who don't know, the Beatles. You know, if there's a younger audience.
Oh my God, do we have to say for those who don't know?
I don't know.
Oh, that's scary. Okay.
Sir Paul, just because I love the guy, I love his music, the amount of work he's put out over the decades,
Stunning.
it's
Right.
phenomenal. So I just loved it. Just quiz him and ask, you know, how do you and the words and the meanings and all that information. So that'd be number one. 2 would be, I think, Kobe Bryant, a Laker, you know, unfortunately, who passed a couple of years ago, primarily for his work ethic. I mean, he was tenacious. He just was never to say die. He never gave up on a game ever. And I love that tenacity and that wanting to win.
Where does he pull that from?
Where does it come from?
Yeah.
Exactly. And then I think number 3 might be Mr. Buffett.
Jimmy or Warren?
Actually, I like both. But I was thinking about Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
Just because he's the richest, coolest cat in the room. I mean, that guy still lives in his first house he built in 1958.
In what, Oklahoma?
Nebraska.
In Nebraska, right.
And I just loved to pick his brain and hear some stories that I'm sure he's got as well.
And I get the feeling he would tell stories that you'd understand. It's not like talking to some highfalutin.
Yeah, financial graphs and that kind of
Right.
stuff. He's so down to earth for a man of his magnitude.
That's a great 3 choices.
Yeah.
I love that. I'd like to be invited to that dinner just to listen.
You're invited.
I'm in? Okay, thank you. I'll serve just so I can listen in between.
No, you gotta head of the table as long as you pick up the tab.
Oh, there we go. Sir Paul probably is not cheap.
No, that's not.
Okay, one of my favorite things when we're doing coaching stuff is the most important words in your world, in anyone's world, are the words that follow I am. So finish that sentence. I am.
I guess I am I'm grateful for my health and happiness. I'm really, really grateful for my family, my wife and kids, grandkids. For me, they're my everything. They're my reason why. And friends, of course, they're the reasons I'm still working. Yeah, maybe not completely, but I still love this business. I still get up every morning and I'm excited to go to work.
You can see it. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see it in your eyes. You do.
It is. It's something I'm sincere about.
Did you? It seems to me that people come to that. I want to call it a truth that what matters in the world is your family and friends. It's not your car or the money or these things are. But a lot of us don't come to that until a certain place. Did you always feel that way, or is that something you came to as well?
Well, no. I think when I was very young, I thought, I'd like to retire like maybe when I was 35, right?
Right.
And I thought, if I could make like 25 grand a year, I'd be on the top of the hill, and I'd be on Easy Street. And of course, as you grow and you get a little more experience, you think, well, 25,000. Of course, that was years and decades ago. But even as I became more successful, and I still had, wanted to make good living for my family. I still do, but it's now that's not the important thing. It's really satisfying my clients, doing a good job, and being around my family.
How are you living your life?
Exactly right.
I love it. This is one of my favorite people. That's why I told you that. All right, I'm going to end with the same 10 questions I always end with. Okay? Took this from the variation of Inside the Actor's Studio, which I used to love. What is your favorite word?
I think my favorite word is the word freedom.
What is your least favorite word?
Hate.
What sound or noise do you love?
I used to have a sailboat, and I love the sound of being out in the ocean and hearing the waves lap up on the side of the boat. So peaceful.
What sound or noise do you hate?
I think that one of the worst sounds I can think of is laying in bed at night and you're out of town at some big city, New York, Boston, San Francisco, LA, and hearing horns honking in the middle of the night. Hate that sound.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
I would say superpower, I think I'd love to fly. And the reason why, there'd be no TSA. Don't have to go through the line.
I completely get that one. How do you cure a hangover?
Well, that's kind of personal, Sean. You're assuming that I imbibe from time to time.
I'm just assuming that you're a wise man who would have an answer.
A little hair of the dog, I found helps a bit. And then my go-to is a good greasy taco and a nice big cup of Pepsi, not Coke, on ice. That's my cure.
For someone who doesn't imbibe, you have a very specific answer. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
That would be, I think, a potter. Ceramics, not the kind you smoke, but
More lucrative.
Yeah, a lot more money. In fact, I had thought about when I was in college, I did a lot of pottery, and if I wasn't going to go into city management, I thought about going into ceramics, opening up a pottery shop.
Wow.
And I was fairly good at it. Won some awards and that kind of stuff. But I started looking into the money side of it, and there just wasn't a lot of dough in throwing pots.
It's unfortunate, but
Unfortunate, because it's kind of like the being out on the ocean. It's very tranquil. It's kind of a zen for me.
do you still do it on the side as a hobby?
I don't right now, but I'm thinking if I get a little more time, it's one of my things I'm going to pursue again.
Fantastic. All right. What profession would you not like to do?
I would definitely not like to be pumping septic tanks. I would not be a job, and I don't care what you pay me.
You're out.
I'm out.
Where is your favorite spot in San Diego?
That's an easy one. So I am a homebody. I love my home. It's my, they say it's a king. It's your castle.
right.
Your home is your castle, and that's for me. I love gardening. I love being at my property, and it's just a place where I feel most at ease.
Okay. Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
If the big guy came to me and at the gates of heaven and looked at me, I hope he would say, well, son, you've done a pretty darn good job. Welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club. That's fantastic. Just love talking to you.
Love talking with you too, Sean.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill DeRidder.
Working on the plot and the scheme. The true style trademark is at the edge of your dreams. I'm talking one shot for the kill. The breeze cut, freeze up, straight dropping the chills. I'm talking taking over pieces and shares of all.